Good evening, everyone. My name is Liz Burley, and I am a retired special educator and transition specialist for Prince George's County Public Schools. I spent 40 years as a special educator in several different positions within the county. It is my privilege to come to you tonight to talk about the Transitioning Youth Fair and all that you need to do as parents. I know many of you think that as your young adult graduates that some of your jobs will be limited as far as being a parent. Unfortunately, when we are a parent of a disabled child, our duties never end because we're always going to be that child's parent as well as their best advocate for everything that they need. So it is critical for you to understand and to learn all that is necessary as you move from the land of school to the land of the adult life for those with disabilities. Every state is different, so it's important for you to know that the services that we are talking about now are only the services that are provided in the state of Maryland. If you move, you decide to retire and you want to move to Florida, the services do not go with you. You have to reapply in each and every state that you go to. And every state has different services and different eligibility criteria for those services. We are extremely lucky and blessed in this state to have many, many services that are available to our adults with disabilities. So, as I said, it is critical for you to continue to learn, refer back to the resources that you have been given, reach out for those advocates and specialists that are there to help you and assist with you. As many of you attend your IEP meetings, you will be given a transitioning planning guide. So please make sure that you read it thoroughly, go through it. It is your necessary information for you to understand all the different services that are there. It is your resource book to reflect back on. It has information on each and every agency that you will be dealing with as a parent of an adult child with a disability. It also has a timeline checklist for you to make sure that you're doing things in the proper order. The timeline is critical because what I always tell parents is none of us are promised tomorrow. So where will your child or your young adult child be if you are not here to care for them or if you are unable to care for them? Especially now in this time of COVID, none of us know what our next steps are going to be. So it's important for you to think about your future plans for your young adult. Plan out, talk to family members, see who is going to be there to care for your young adult if you are not able to. It is critical that others know what the plan is, where your important documents are. Documents, once they leave the school, is very hard to retrieve. And it is important for you to apply for each and every service that is possible for you right now. Then you can choose to see which services you would like to take advantage of. Later on, I've dealt with families where they've never applied for the Developmental Disabilities Administration or DDA. That is your long-term services for our families. Right? So that is your day programs, your supported employment programs, your residential programs. Everything comes under the Developmental Disabilities Administration. Those are long-term services. While you are in school, you have the privilege of what we call the Governor's Transitioning Youth Initiative, that as students are exiting school, you have priority to receive those services. Many years ago, those students that were leaving school had a 7 and 8 year waiting list in order to receive those services. So we don't want that to happen. The governor put this into place many years ago. It is still being funded by the state. So please make sure your applications and all the documents you need are there to determine your eligibility. For a child with a developmental disability, you must be able to prove that this disability occurred prior to age 22. So therefore, the documents from school, your psychological reports, your medical reports, all those documents are critical. If you don't have a binder for your young adult that has all these important documents in it, please make sure that you start a binder to keep all your information. Also, make a backup so that you save them onto a flash drive or have copies in a safe deposit box something and let other people know where they are. I've dealt with families where somebody has died and nobody knows where any of the paperwork is. And it takes a long time trying to recreate all of those documents. And sometimes you can't get all of the documents to recreate. So it's critical that you have backup for all of those documents that are necessary in order to apply. And share this information with family members. Make sure that if you use a flash drive or you have extra copies, leave them at someone else's house. Give them to somebody else, another family member, a close friend. Somebody else can have a copy of these papers, because God forbid that there is a fire and paperwork gets destroyed. You would then have to recreate everything. Okay? SSI. Once your child turns 18, your child becomes a family of one. No longer is SSI disability determined by your family's income. It's the child's income. And there are some tips in applying for Social Security. So make sure when you're applying for them, you make sure that as an adult at 18, that you say that your young adult is paying rent. I know many of you say, oh, I can't make sure. I'm not going to charge my child rent. Well, if they would have to be out in the world, they would have to be paying some rent. And all of that covers their room and board, because they are no longer a child. Even though they have a disability, they are considered an adult. So therefore, they need to contribute to the household. So yes, you're charging them rent. Otherwise, your SSI check will be deducted by the amount of rent that they do. And it could be up to $350 less that you would receive per month. So make sure that you do that. You can apply at the age of 18, or they say start the application process 3 months prior to 18, because it will take that long to get eligible. That way, once you've made the application, some of that money is retroactive to the time that they have turned 18. Okay? If you wait, that you're losing money for yourself and your household that helps take care of them. They're eating more, they're grown, okay, their needs are different, their clothing is more expensive, their shoes are bigger. I said all of those things come into effect. You may have to pay somebody to come in to help at times. So those are some things you want to make sure that those expenses are being used for. And again, anytime you talk to anybody from an agency, make sure you get a name of who you talk to and a phone number. That way you can go back and say, I talked to Mrs. Jones and she said da-da-da-da-da. Okay, and you can call out a name and know you have accurate information. So keep a notebook or a running log whenever you're making these phone calls. Part of applying for DDA is also being able to apply for Medicaid. And you can say, well, I don't need Medicaid because I'm keeping my child under my insurance all these years. They can stay under my insurance until they're 26 and sometimes longer. So you want to make sure that you do apply for Medicaid because it is necessary. You have to remember, they are a family of one. Your insurance that you have can be the supplemental insurance that you can use. So make sure those things are completed as well. Many families get confused between DDA and DORS, D-O-R-S. DDA is the Developmental Disabilities Administration. That is your long-term services for those that need long-term services. DORS is temporary service. That's the Division of Rehabilitation Services. It's a part of Maryland State Department of Education. They provide temporary services for those going into employment. So they can provide some training, they can provide some job coaching, but it is not ongoing for a lifetime. DDA is the lifetime services. So once you have applied and you're eligible, you're on their rolls and their books for a lifetime, unless there are some strange circumstances where you would not need those services anymore. You do not have to continue to reapply. You will be assigned a case manager. And I know some of these acronyms get very crazy at times when we're talking about all of these things, because once you're eligible for DDA, they will assign a CCS to you. A CCS is a Coordinator of Community Services. Though that becomes your case manager. So there are several agencies in Prince George's County that provide case management, and you will learn about them through the TY Fair and through this virtual Transitioning Youth Fair. So all of them will be listed. You get to choose. If you don't choose one, then one will be assigned to you. So know the different services that are there. As you're going through and looking at agencies of what's going to be a good match for your young adult, Know what services are available. Supported employment does not mean that somebody is going to the job with them every day. Supported employment means that they could be a courtesy clerk at Giant or Safeway or Shoppers or wherever, and they can work independently and follow directions, but a job coach will check on them periodically. The job coach will be the liaison person between this young adult and the management of that store. So those are things that you need to understand. Yes, they have to have some independent skills. Can they do the job? What have they done in the past? All right. There are day programs, there are community programs. So those are some things you need to know what the differences are. Everything with DDA is going towards employment. So employment is the first priority. So make sure you understand all the differences that are there. If the students have done some work with the schools, have that down. You should have a portfolio from the school of all the different things that they have done, including a resume where all the work that they have done, whether it's inside, they've done simulated work, or they've gone out in the community as a group to do some work as a group. If they've gone to a work site as a group to do work, that's what they call an enclave because there's a supervisor with them going out to do that. All right, so know what some of these differences are with going out to work. Please make sure you ask your teachers. You need to help provide some references for their resume, neighbors, family, friends, to be part of their references that knows this young adult, what they can do, how independent are them. The other important critical thing is to make sure that you try to enhance as much independent skills as possible for your young adult. Have them help doing things around the house. They can pull the trash. They can empty the dishwasher. They can fold some laundry. All the things that they can do. Those are all part of skills that they're learning and continue to learn that can transfer over to a job or employment. Okay? They may not do it perfectly, and that's fine. Many of our spouses or children without disabilities don't do it perfectly or do it the way we prefer it to be done. But you have to pick your battles. Is it more important that they're doing the job or that it's done the right way or it's folded a certain way that you want it folded? Okay? Sometimes you have to think about what is really important in life, and we get hung up on some of these things that really are not important in the long run. Okay? Have them make a sandwich. Can they pour their own cereal? Can they put the milk on the cereal? What can they do? Are they using a microwave? Can you teach them how to use a microwave? Especially with all this time that we are home right now during the COVID, these are some things that they can do. Can they dust for you? Can they run the vacuum for you? And even our students with the most significant disabilities. I always tell parents, everybody can do something and everybody wants to do something. So even if you have to go hand over hand and have them lift that paper plate and have them help them carry it to the trash can and drop it in, then that's what they need to do. So those are important things that you want to do. Have other people know your child, especially if your child is nonverbal and cannot speak for themselves. Do you have a notebook of the things that they like or don't like, foods that they like to eat or don't like to eat, activities they like to do? Do they like dance music? Do they like country music? Do they like rock and roll? Do they like opera? What do they like? What is it they would really enjoy doing in their free time? So if you are not there and somebody has to take over an emergency, you want somebody to be able to know your child. What are the signs that they give you to know that they're in pain or they're hurting or they're sad? Find out. Make sure you have that all down in a notebook so that somebody can come in and take over immediately and know your young adult. Get them used to being around other adults. We always say that nobody is going to take care of our child the way that we do, and nobody will. We are the parent. We know them best. But sometimes we have to trust others to care for them, and we have to have the faith that somebody is going to do it the right way. We cannot let our fears as a parent get in the way of our child being independent. So I say all these things because I am also a parent. I have a daughter with a disability who's 52. So I've been through this many times, and it continues. And our young adults learn every single day. So what she knew at 21, she knows a lot more now at 52. So our young adults are always growing. They're always learning. They're always doing new things. So it's important for other people to know the things that they can do. And I've heard parents say, well, he doesn't do that at home, or he does that at school, but he doesn't do it at home. He does it at home, but won't do it at school. They're in different environments. Peer pressure even affects our young adults with disabilities. So sometimes they will perform at school in front of their peers more so than they will as adults. And we have to raise our expectations to say, yes, they can do it, and make them do it. We try to push our children without disabilities to be independent, and it's the same with our children with disabilities. We have to make sure we push them to independence. We have to teach them more because they're not going to absorb it on their own. So we have to consciously teach some of these skills that they need to have. In case you didn't know, I am a talker, and I've been given a certain amount of time to do this. So I could go on and on with many more examples. But what I want you to take away from this is to make sure that you use the resources that are given, that you join a support group like the ARC. Melanie Clark is the family outreach person right now at the ARC of Prince George's County. She is an excellent resource. Find out about it. She has a benefits information program where you can sign up for all your benefits at one place. That's another resource. Find other parents that you can talk to that have been through this. They're going to be the source of great pride for you as far as giving you more information and sharing that information with others, because word of mouth is very, very critical in this field. That's how we learn. You got this? How did you get that service? How can I get this service? So making sure that you know what is out there and available and taking advantage of all the resources that are there. I am easily contacted. You can contact me at burleytransition@gmail.com if you have any further questions. I look forward to you making sure that you gain as much insight as you can from this virtual transition youth fair. And I wish you all the luck and be blessed in the years to come with your young adult with disabilities as you watch them thrive and become productive members of society. Thank you very much. Good night.